man who lived to be 256 years old, shared the secret to his longevity. This is Lee Ching-yuen. According to the New York Times article from 1930, Lee reportedly lived to be 256 years old. While Lee Ching-yuen claimed to have been born back in 1736, Professor Wu Chung-che of Chengdu University asserted that Lee was actually born back in 1677. In 1928, the professor also discovered documentation congratulating Lee on his 150th birthday in 1827. There were further documents that congratulated him on his 200th birthday back in 1877. Additionally, the connection of Lee's long age to his many spiritual practices have also been pointed out. Researchers have perceived that these things, which is the myth that certain religious practices or philosophies allow a person to live to such extreme old age, is incredibly common in the Far East. According to this Times article, all the old men in the neighborhood claimed that Lee had already become a grown man when they were just children. Lee began his career as a herbalist at just 10 years old and for almost 40 years had a constant diet of mostly herbs, goji berries, wild ginseng, gotu kola, ishiwu, rice wine and more of such Chinese herbs. He continued this for the next 100 years of his life. Lee was surprisingly also a lifelong believer in mushrooms. He would handpick wild mushrooms and even swore by strains like red reishi. This is a massive link to health that comes directly from Chinese folklore. The Chinese region has often relied on mushrooms like cordyceps for several thousands of years. They claim that this particular mushroom easily boosts energy levels and has even been considered powerful against illnesses like cancer by lowering blood sugar and acting as blood thinners. It had been generally accepted in Sichuan that Lee was completely literate as a child. By his 10th birthday, Lee had traveled to Gansu, Tibet, Shanxi, Vietnam, Thailand and Manchuria with the sole purpose of gathering herbs and continuing with this occupation for almost a century before beginning to purvey any herbs gathered by others. In 1749, at the ripe old age of 71, Lee decided to join the Chinese army as a martial arts instructor. He was an extremely beloved member of his community and reportedly married 23 times, fathering close to 200 children in the process. But supposedly, he wasn't even the oldest man that he knew. The Chinese battle lord Wu Peifu decided to take him into his home, hoping to discover the secret of living up to 250 years. Lee ultimately passed away from natural causes on the 6th of May in 1933 in Kaishen, Sichuan, Republic of China, and had been survived by his 24th wife, who was a woman of 60 years. Various sources have credited Lee with 180 descendants, spanning over 11 generations, living at the time of his demise and his 14 marriages. One of his disciples claimed that Lee met a 500-year-old man who taught him Qigong exercises and a special diet that was rich in herbs. This diet was said to help people live extraordinarily long lives. When asked about the surprising secret to his long life, Lee only said that one should keep a quiet heart, sit like a tortoise, walk sprightly like a pigeon and sleep like a dog. Whether or not you actually believe this story, it certainly sounds like sage wisdom. We could all stand to take a page out of this incredible man's book. Safe to say that the 7-foot-tall Lee Ching-yuen lived a remarkable life.